Welcome to episode 20 of our beautiful and bodacious podcast, Cynchranici, where we know that nothing is a coincidence, so everything is intentional. How do you feel about that? Let's talk about it. And again, when we say that everything is intentional, we know that we would literally not be able to observe something if a spirit who became aware of its nothing did not intentionally create that something to represent it. And because you intend to be aware of spaces outside of yourself, now we can see how both of these spirits' intentions come together to make life possible. I intend to be aware of you. You intend to be aware of me. So we have both created bodies in this reality where we can learn the same languages. We can be aware of the same TV shows, the same books, the same news, the same world events. And now we can subconsciously and thus consciously connect on what we see. That's all we're doing as humans. That's all we're doing as spirits in bodies. Like, anytime you're a spirit in a body, you are inside of a bigger body and you are learning about yourself based on how you're communicating with other bodies about other bodies. That's just like big Gemini energy. And then, of course, it's important not to get lost in gossip. Like, you don't want to talk about what you see and what's going on in the environment in an unproductive way. You always want to be communicating about what you see and what you're going through in a way that will allow you to build something better. So, this is our topic for today's episode. The tree, right? Last episode, we talked about the snake. We talked about the S. Now we're talking about the T. Now we're talking about the tree. And then with literally just these two podcasts, like episode 19 and episode 20, we're about to have such a greater grasp on what ST ability truly means, what the caduceus truly means. Why is fasting and bringing your serpent into your own space to have sex with yourself so hermetically, harmoniously awesome? That is what we are getting into today, because shout out symmetry, shout out trees, shout out symmetry getting uprooted on TikTok, because we're addressing this. All right, getting off my 19 days of water fasting, we are addressing why TikTok would be taking my account, just considering what I've seen them allow up there, because I had to talk about this. That's the point of the S. The serpent, the snake speaks. So I can be here like fighting myself and allowing other people to let me fight myself based on the comments that I get from like spiritual people. Because it's like the people who like to think of themselves as spiritual that are telling me that I shouldn't be sharing or speaking about fasting on social media. And I'm like, okay, well, you are not aware, because I was actually called here to elevate everyone's consciousness in terms of showing them how we are actually healthier when we're in a spiritual state and when we're in a psychedelic state and when we're connecting with our nothingness, not when we're in a physical state of eating constantly all the time and consuming whatever the people who want to control us tell us we need to consume in order to be healthy. And then the more we consume what they create for us, the more we actually ingest all these heavy metals that the FDA allows in the baby food. Now we're ingesting all these carcinogens and chemicals that the FDA allows in all of our food. The FDA allows so much garbage to be in our food. And for them to be authorizing us to get these mandatory shots, this is why I'm here. Like, you see why I'm here. I'm very much needed in this world. This world needs fasting. So when I get done fasting for 19 days, it's kind of not a coincidence that my stuff would get shut down and I'm here alchemizing it into things that make more sense. Because I can fight myself in terms of, oh, I was a snake. You know, I'm such a snake. I'm going out of my space digitally. Like, I'm supposed to be fasting alone, but I keep wanting to speak about it. I keep wanting to project out to spirits who aren't me versus just connecting with myself about fasting and then getting deeper in connecting with myself about fasting. That is the difference between the S and the T. I spent my first 11 days fasting alone. So, it's not like I spent my whole fast just talking into a phone. It's literally the fact that I'm here to build a business on teaching people how to be healthier, happier, and more harmonious with all of my hermetic somatic properties. All the religions that people have been giving their lives to and been letting cause climate change are using my properties. So I'm the most valuable motherfucker in this world. Like, the people who made money mean something are using my creations to make money matter. Literally, of course. The Caduceus, you think you can put a price on that when the medical industry is making like Googleplex dollars, just infinite amount of money off of using it to poison people? Like, clearly you can't actually put a price on human life. You can't put a price on an idea that someone creates. All you can do is make prices out of ideas. Like these white supremacist Jewish Christian governments that take over indigenous lands and enslave indigenous peoples, all they can do is make money off of our priceless bodies. So now they can put numbers on us. Now they can quantify us and control us in ways that make them feel good because they don't feel good enough alone. So this is everything. Like, this is how my brain works. So this is, what I'm just thinking in terms of like, oh snap, should I have been fasting alone? But if I keep fasting alone, you're not going to know that it's healthy. Like, this is the white supremacist warfare of this world. Like, I love fasting alone. Bro, I did my 24 days in Chicago. I had to talk to people because I'm working as an RA. I'm working in the dorm that I'm living in and actively working with my school and having to combat people trying to make me eat because everyone thinks that it's healthier for me to continuously consume the poison that they're complaining about having health issues from. Fuck. And I had to do it publicly there. After that, I fasted so much privately. Like, I love fasting alone. The point is, I do it alone. Like, what? Then that's it. I didn't build a structure out of it. I didn't communicate about how I'm connecting with myself. Like, if I'm just here connecting with myself, this is the water alchemy. Like, this is just elemental alchemy. Like, if I'm just in my water element, like, okay, I'm water fasting, because that's the point of water fasting. You're drinking water. You're getting connected with yourself. If I'm purely in my water element without communicating, then no one outside of myself is going to know that what I'm doing is healthy. Because most of my life communicating about what I've been doing, most people want to tell me that it's not healthy. Like, that's why I'm sure my TikTok got taken as symmetry. Like, because we're literally in this weird matrix mentality where people have been conditioned to think that it is healthier to eat heavy metal, carcinogenic, FDA approved poison instead of eating their spirit, aka nothing. So I have to be here upset about this. I have to be here passionate about this. We don't have to use the words upset, but it's about passion. And it is about your passion is unique to you. So only I can be this passionate about how fasting is healthy and how the medical industry is using my creation, which I can explain so much more consciously than they can even imagine, to create health problems inside of everybody. Like, only I can do this because this is my imagination. The Caduceus, everything that I've created as Hermes, as Tahuti, as Ningishzida, as Zoroaster, as Hermanubis, as Mercurius Ter Maximus, as Symmetry, as Chigatet, as so many other bodies and names that represent my spirit. Just me as a spirit. Me as an individual space. All these things. So that I can continuously connect in more intelligent ways. It makes no sense to think that you would only live once and you need to spend your whole life working to go somewhere else. That's literally the ultimate white supremacist thought. Like, why are you not happy alone? And why can't you build your own heaven? I, as Symmetry, build my own simulations. That's the whole point. Like, I could not be happy in anyone else's world but my own because I know who I am. The only reason I would think that I'm going to be happy in a world that someone else made up for me is because I don't know who I truly am. And now this person is using my ignorance of who I am to make me a slave to their heaven, to make me a slave to their concepts. Now this Jewish person can make me follow all of their rules just so that they can make money off of enslaving my indigenous mind. So today, we are addressing the S versus the T, the snake versus the tree, and the big difference between snakes and trees, and the importance of using your snake to build your tree, and the relationship between snakes and trees and what it all spiritually means. Because this is all synchronistic for me. I'm like on a wave. Like this is my awakening journey of like I have been unaware of who I am, and my spirit is slowly making me more aware of who I am every single day, just based on its intelligence. Like if I was truly this fiery, if I was this connected with myself in school and going through the whole system, it would have been unbearable, and I would have been speaking out of turn and caused too much attention to myself. So this is what the S and the T are. Here's the main difference. S is the number 1 and T is the number 2. S is fire. S is individuality. S is projecting your ego outwards. T is reflection. T is collectivity. T is you connecting with your spirit so that you can cultivate your own T repeatedly, your own tree repeatedly, your own time repeatedly. And you can only have your own sense of time once you have your own nature. So this is why time comes after whatever grows out of your soul. So when you actually have your own soul, when you have your own vibration, everything you grow out of there is going to then be how you dictate your sense of time. This is why we collectively on Earth, our idea of time is actually naturally based in the rings that trees create. Literally. So again, no coincidences. Trees dictate time. The tree has to exist first before we can create a time system off of how it grows. So let's take this flying magic carpet ride through the astral realm as we blaze the little trees, breathe in our leaves. We will balance our chi, and we will, in fact, triple our C, as we more consciously and creatively communicate about how spirits use elements, numbers, animals, and plants to create life. Gang, gang. Crying, I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C. My mind's been flying while my soul's been crying. I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C. My soul's been crying while my mind's been flying so high. Through the astral plane, macabre brain, I built your game, we're not the same. My soul's been crying while my mind's been flying too. Relay a word, those who listen heard, we make our vibe from deep inside. My soul's been crying while my mind's been flying back into my space, called away with haste, so I'll fall with grace to thrill my chase. My mind's been flying while my soul's been crying too. Water my earth, I know my worth, my soul gives birth to all my work. My mind's been flying while my soul's been crying, so I can't connect with those you neglect. Time to correct how we reflect. My mind's been flying while my soul's been crying too. Who flood the sea with energy from my inner chi? I'm free to be me. I felt to inspire you to say now to fly higher too. Fly higher too. Fly higher too. Hang out with the family, your true spot. Don't be sad if you forgot that you've got a spirit squad and you're not true to this spot. Flip a script and break the facade. Take a trip and go abroad. When you're brave, they will apply. When you get in touch with your true God. I've been fighting. I've been vibing when I'm dancing with demons, reversing curses and scheming. They be fiending for reasons to change the sins like the seasons. So I've been falling, cause y'all been calling my mind out of my spirit. I feel it best when I'm near it, but y'all cry for help and I hear it. So Hermes flies out to stare it in a new healthy direction. Will grow through natural connection. So I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C to level up like it's nothing, to turn into something, to bust into function, bumping and pumping with all the wisdom I'm gushing. And when I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C, I felt to inspire you. Simmer higher. I simmer in the skies, I triple in my chi, then I open up my eyes. Symmetry. I balance in my seasons. I mama the cohesion that keeps us intertwined. Symmetry. Balance in my seasons, and I don't need a reason to fulfill my desires. Alright, so snakes, as we covered in the last episode, are very important to me as Hermes. We're all snakes. From what I've seen through all my travels in the universe, a snake is the main animal that spirits use to connect. This is why we can see it in the alphabet. And when we say, a snake, a serpent, you'll get it. I mean, we're just going to keep exploring here. Because when we see a snake here, when we see animals here, these animals, these energies exist in all simulations. Like everything that we can experience and observe here is in all simulations, because all simulations are us as spirits first creating nature, creating the universe, and then creating the artificial construct inside the universe that allows us to stabilize how we connect. Because the universe had to be created first so that we can connect. But now we have to create structures inside of the universe so that we can build bodies inside of these structures to experience ourselves inside of something stable. And now we can all relate on stability, even though stability is only possible because of chaos. So we're constantly using our ability to communicate to stabilize our lives. This is why your life is never truly stable. Your life is infinitely chaotic because you are actually always dying. And when you're always dying, that's where you want to use your life to stabilize how you die. So this is the funny interplay between a snake and tree, because that's the wisdom here. If you live just as a snake, like if you as a spirit, we're looking at STU as we covered in the last episode. STU. S is your body, T is your mind, you are the spirit. Communicating both of these into existence and thus communicating yourself into existence. So that's where S, the body, literally doesn't matter without the mind. We know this for a fact. Your body does not matter without your mind. I don't care about your flesh. I don't care about your physical vessel. I don't want bodies in my apartment for a party. Right? Like if I'm throwing a party, if I'm throwing a function, I don't care about having bodies in there. Like I don't want physical bodies. I don't care. I want minds. Now, if minds have to use bodies to come into this space so that we can hang out, fine. But the only reason I would care about your body is because I care about your mind. And everyone subconsciously gets this when we're talking about actually building relationships with people. Right? Like that's, of course, I mean, we're in this American white supremacist world where most people are lost in the body, and this whole awakening process that's taking place. I'm recording this in 2021. It's about to be 2022 because it's after Thanksgiving. So we're about to hit December, be out of here. Time's moving kind of fast. Like, it does feel like it's moving faster, low-key. But then, of course, when you're fasting, time slows down. And it's funny. Like, you go fast. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, you go faster, so everything slows down. Because it's just all about your vibration. So when you're fasting, the higher you raise your vibration, literally the faster you can process your environment, the faster you can communicate internally, and thus you're literally in the Matrix. Like, the Matrix is about fasting. Everything's about fasting. This world just jacked all of Hermes' stuff, and they want to make you obsessed with pharmaceutical medication. But then they're going to use my name to sell pharmaceutical medication. They're going to use my creations to sell pharmaceutical medication because I'm the god of alchemy. And then I have to come back and tell you that you yourself are the most awesome alchemy ever. And you just have to learn how to connect with yourself, which is what I as Hermes, I as Tahuti Trismegistus, have been doing for all of my life. Like, and all of my lifetimes. That's when I say all of my life, I'm not talking about just this body. I'm like so tapped in to my other lifetimes. What? Like, I'm so there right now. The whole point is my spirit is specifically limiting my awareness of the many details of those lifetimes because they're not relevant to the details of this lifetime. That's the point of us living multiple lifetimes. I'm speaking totally different languages in those lifetimes. So it makes more sense for me to channel my subconscious mind, which has already gained intelligence and gained memory and gained wisdom from communicating inside of those languages, to communicate into this one and build something new with my mind, with my soul. Something that only I can create because only I know where I've been. Only I know the true history of what I have created. So when white supremacists are taking over my creations and making their own creations out of it, it can only ride my vibration. Which is why then all of their stuff is whack. Because all their stuff, they're not connecting with themselves and making anything organic. They're not connecting with themselves and making Spider-Man organically. They're looking at the Greek, Roman, Egyptian gods that have already been working, and then they make their own version of those. So they're literally looking at individuals who have already expressed themselves, have already created a vibration on this planet, and then they take it and alchemize it into what serves them. So they look at Hermes, take him, alchemize him into Spider-Man. They look at Tahuti Trismegistus, take him and alchemize him into Thoth, and then take him and alchemize him into Black Panther, because Tahuti's too black. Tahuti's too black for white people, so they had to make him Thoth. And then he's Black Panther. Which is so funny that he's too black, but at the same time, they still need to use the actual word black to try and push that idea. Ugh. So, this is why everything is just spiritual. Like, you either know that you created your own idea and you can keep riding your own wave and keep making who you are, or if you don't believe in yourself, you can ride the wave of others by piggybacking off of their ideas. But then that's where you get two different kinds of people. The people who will piggyback off of a religion and they're happy just being a follower of that religion. And then there's the people who will piggyback off of a religion because they want to do what the religion is doing and control people. And then you just get like, that's how denominations of religions come out. Because it's just people following one system, and then they make their own even more limited version of that system. And then the people who get into that system make their own limited version of that system, because everyone wants to get control over spaces outside of themselves and play God by projecting out some idea of how we're actually not God. So again, I as Hermes, as Tahuti Trismegistus, as Symmetry, have to be here as an individual God, more than infinitely happy alone. I must be here communicating from my individual infinite perspective about how you are God, because I know who I am. This is what makes me Hermes. This is why I tripled my C. I am so deeply in touch with who I am that I know who you are. I know that you are space, alchemizing your thoughts and feelings into consciousness. And now your consciousness is animating a body that allows you to feel connected with other forms of consciousness. Boom. From everything from there, I would have to listen to you tell me about yourself. Like, the only reason I could actually then know who you are is if I listen to you tell me who you are as an individual. Like, this is the difference between indigenous peoples and white supremacists, or Jewish, Judeo-Christian colonizers who are obsessed with cannibalizing the Greco-Roman stuff because they want to be Egyptian while hating black people. And so that's just how lostness happens. Because, of course, if you're someone who's already following a religion, that means you're not connected to yourself. And if you want to connect with yourself more by creating a religion out of that religion so that you can make even more people connect with your idea, then, like, that's just more and more lostness. And, hey, let me actually make this clear, because obviously I'm speaking as literally an individual God. An individual God who loves to be alone because I have cults of women literally chasing me. Like, I literally have spirits in their wise feminine energies feeling like the most intelligent thing that they could put their energy towards is projecting at me, trying to get connected to me. And so this is where a lot of my wisdom comes from as well. It's literally all my life experience. Where else could wisdom come from? Like, if I believe that I've only lived once, then I am lost. I'm lost in the language that I was taught. So this is why I, as Hermes, am here connecting with myself while connecting with you, because that's the whole point of balance. That's the whole point of symmetry in your life. Like, life doesn't happen alone, but you're not going to build anywhere close to a happy, harmonious, or hermetic life if you're not happy alone, if you're not super joyful alone, if you don't actually prefer being alone. This is why artists are introverts. So S is extrovert energy, T is introvert energy. For the first 11 days of my water fast, I'm good in my tea. Like, I'm working on my shit. I love fasting because I can just make art. I'm not distracted by consuming things. I'm not distracted by literally going out of my space. Like, I can observe this and feel it. Where when I'm creating, that's the focus, right? Like, the focus is you on one point. You as a spirit, you spear it. That's the indigenous terminology for spears. It's all about the spirit. You're pointing towards an individual space. You can never touch the individual space, but you can use a spear to point at it. So indigenous wise, like, even the word spirit, the point is our spirit points towards our space. I myself am not my space. Actually, that's hilarious. That was very earth. I myself am my space. The thing is, my space has to create a spirit that can then be conscious of its circumstances. This is weird. And like, if it actually like gets that deep, whatever, hold up, because I've kind of been addressing like, okay, the space is the spirit, but actually though, the space itself is truly nothing, and the space has to become aware of its own nothingness, which then makes it a spirit. Because once a spirit becomes aware that it's nothing, once a spirit becomes aware that it's space, that's where it creates the ego. And that's where it starts to get lost in something. And then this is where we get the elemental alchemical process of imagination into soul, into consciousness, into structure. Or just in general, how a space creates an imagination. Once you like your God, you get wet, you want to connect with it. That's Lucifer. You combine your fire and water together, and now you have humans. Now you have a mind that's able to communicate through all these forms of light to express your imagination through, and then that results in structures. That naturally results in earth that you can see, touch, and feel like you're feeling based on the resonance of you with those objects. So a spirit cannot exist if it's not aware of its own space. So this is why everyone unconsciously, as spirits, as space, like again, like we're experiencing ourselves as spirits, but even I'm like taking it deeper then of how the space has to become aware of its own circumstances to even feel like a spirit. But us feeling like spirits, we're still like that in and of itself is a term that we feel like connecting to from our own space. So we're using the term spirit to point at our space. So when I as a space become aware of my circumstances being that I'm nothing, I now become a spirit because now I'm able to communicate about my circumstances. By communicating my circumstances, because I feel like I want to, and I feel like turning my circumstances into something else, I can now become God. Now I'm expressing my fire, my individual imagination out into the space. And it's just like infinitely spreading. Like I have all the room in the world because it's infinite space. And then it takes me expressing my God for whatever amount of time, being lost in my imagination for whatever amount of time, to realize that I'm alone in that. And really, the way that works is like your imagination is just constantly spreading, like your God is constantly expanding, but it takes you connecting with it and containing it for it to actually be sustainable. And that's where you really realize that you're alone, because it took you connecting with your imagination to then start communicating and know that you have control over everything inside of your own circumstances. So then this is where you learn about yourself as a space becoming a spirit. Now you can learn about your own space based on how it's communicating itself into spiritual reality. Because it's like spiritual reality exists inside of space. So that's why I'm making this distinction. That a space has to become aware of its circumstances of being nothing before it can even get to the point of feeling like it's a spirit that's then creating a mind that is anchored to a body. So that's why when you're alone in your imagination and you like what you see, you're like your ego, then you want to get connected to it. This is a simultaneous process of you want to connect to it and you realize that you are alone as you connect with it. And you may have well realized that you were alone in your imagination when you were creating it, but once you use your water to connect with your own fire, that's where your air, your mind, the way you communicate inside of your space really shows you how you are alone with yourself. Your God, your imagination is the ultimate expression of who you are when you're alone. Your Lucifer, your water, your soul, that's your polarity. So this is where we get the infinite vibration of the universe. Like the vibration literally comes from, all vibrations come from spirits having to be connected with their nothingness in order to feel connected with something. So that's literally why when I fast, when anyone fasts, their vibration rises because they're getting more connected to nothing than something. And as you frequently get connected more to nothing, you're able to literally vibrate at a higher frequency, because the highest frequency in the world, in all of life, is nothingness, is you actually just eating space. So then that's where we get breatharianism and just being conscious then of what comes into your space as a body. So tea being the 20th number in the English alphabet, is all about providing more space for connections. This is the difference between S and T. S, the snake, goes out of its way to connect with others. So when you as a space connect with your own imagination and you feel like connecting with your own imagination, so now you have your own universe, you have your own soul, and now you're able to develop a mind that allows you to communicate your imagination and feelings to others, which is then the universe. Hence why the universe is air, but it's water-based. You can travel anywhere you feel like going. It's just all about how in resonance you are with yourself as a spirit to be able to actually separate your mind from your body and literally visit other worlds. White supremacists, again, they want to live that interstellar life of doing it in reverse, where they're going to try and alchemize technology or alchemize the minerals in the environment to create some sort of structure that allows their body to travel into a totally different planet. And it's like, bro, you could just work from the top down and have a way better time. Like, I don't understand the obsession with your body. Like, are you just that low vibrational as a spirit? I guess so. So, when a spirit realizes that they're alone in their imagination, that's the Lucifer. Like, you can either enjoy being alone or hate being alone. That's your soul. So, your soul is your vibration. It's your polarity of feeling. Like, that's where your intuition comes from. Like, your soul is what powers you to connect with others as well as connect with yourself. And then the vibration is always going to show you that you can only connect with others as far as you connect with yourself. And that's the whole thing then of actually being way more about connecting with yourself than connecting with others. And this is Hermeticism. This is the wisdom of the Caduceus and bringing your S into your T. Because the alchemy of what happens when you bring your S into your T is that you build a tree which supports your ability to connect with other spirits. It supports your ability to facilitate connections and connect in general. Because snake, the S, being 19, 1-9. Right here we can see that the S, the snake, is all about seeing your imagination. So that 1 plus 9, the 1 is the singular fiery imagination, and the 9 is a realized spirit. The 9 is an I. As we know in dissected dialect, especially, I being the 9th letter of the alphabet. So, I being 9 is about the spirit realizing that it has an I, it's creating its own vibration, and once it realizes that, wanting to see its imagination. So that results in 1. When a spirit realizes it's creating its vibration and it wants to see its imagination, that results in a frequency individuality energy. This is why snakes are so everywhere. Like, snakes are like so cosmic in the importance, and they're just spiritual importance of actually facilitating simulations. This is the idea of the Ouroboros, where the snake is eating its tail, yet it's eating its tail in such a way that it can keep this cycle going. And that's literally actually the alchemical process of a snake turning into a tree. Like, when you see the snake turning into an infinity in like religious texts and all that stuff, just in general, the Ouroboros, it is about a spirit using its serpentine energy to turn into the tree of life, literally. Like, you're not hearing that from anyone other than the actual man, Hermes Trismegistus. And only I can bring that awareness here because that's how I've connected with the universe. The whole point is I just have to communicate the wisdom that I have now into English in a way that makes sense for everyone, because this world needs some sense. Woo! Like, this world actually really needs me. Like, I mean, no cap. Like, I haven't been fasting all these years before these mandatory shots for, like, as a coincidence. Impossible. Nah. And we're just gonna keep going. And I mean, that is the nature of nature. Just because you cut down a tree, what, you think it's going to stop growing? Like, just because you burn down a forest, the forest is not going to come back anew? Like, the spirits who built those structures are holding on to the memories in their souls. This is the importance of knowing that you have a soul. No one can take your soul from you. No one. No one. Not one person. Not one spirit in existence or non-existence can take your soul from you. I promise you. I hate this white supremacist world for ingraining it in all of the media and all the books, all the stories, all of everything that they create, that they can suck your soul. It's their desire. That's what they want to, like, that's how the Americas have been built. Them sucking the souls of indigenous peoples. And it's just what they want. They want to be able to trap your soul forever and harvest your vibration forever. They want your water to nourish them. They want to drink your blood forever. The vampires. These Twilight Vladimir Putin people. Literally. They would love that. But just know it's impossible. Like, they can only keep sucking your soul if you keep paying attention to them. This is the wisdom of knowing that you are God and you are creating reality right now. This is why I'm very passionate about us solving climate change with this. Like, and I'm not like this is me just naturally making this podcast and letting my spirit flow through me. So I'm observing myself communicate in ways that I would not otherwise communicate if I was speaking to anyone in my life on their level. Like, I get to be in heaven actually connecting with myself, and now I get to learn way more about my spirit based on where I've been in my awareness up to this point, and I'm able to communicate from that space. So now we can learn way more about the reality that we're in, because my spirit is a major player in all of the universe. Everything you can imagine in the universe, best believe they're gonna call up Mercury to set up some communications at some point so that they can get connected to the grander scheme of everything, because it's lit. Why would we not be all connected? Like, it's only natural. So this is the point of symmetry. It's our whole cosmic network. That's the point of trees 20. This is our episode. I'm synchronistically going through this. So, like, me having to fast 19 days and communicate in all these ways just for the structure that I was building on TikTok to get taken is a lesson for me. It's a lesson that now I can communicate more consciously to build these episodes of the podcast. So now everyone can level up. Just the lessons of impermanence and knowing that the memories that you have from building a structure cannot be taken from you. Your spirit is holding on to all of the water that you have. All of your water. In your space. The only reason life matters is because you use your water to water spaces outside of yourself. You project your water into earth outside of yourself. So the more you put water, the more you pay attention to things outside of yourself, the more you give them power. This is why YouTube has removed the dislike button, so that they can keep pushing all their coronavirus videos and keep everyone feeling like they need to pay attention to something that collectively all of us are just disliking. Let me not even say us. All of YouTube, for months on months, I'm just laughing over here before YouTube removes the dislike button, and I'm like, wow. That's how hard you really want to go with it? I'm over here laughing about how their home screen, they're just constantly broadcasting new coronavirus news, but then when I click on the video and look at the dislikes, they just eclipse the likes. I've never seen more dislikes on videos consistently in my life than I have on these coronavirus videos. And the comments are just people tearing this pandemic up. People are just intelligent now. They're like, yeah, no, they're fake. They want our attention. They want to make money off of trapping us. People are just in that. Everyone knows. That's why this is just about communication. And it's just about all of us communicating openly and freely, because the people who make money off of making health problems inside of us rely on shutting down our ability to communicate so that we can only connect with them. Because that's the whole point of censorship. That's the point of white supremacists wanting to use their technology to censor and surveil everything and anything. Because they need to make sure that we're connecting with them, not each other. If we connect with each other, we would actually build something that is happy, harmonious, and healthy for us, because that's naturally what spirits do. But when a government wants to make money off of what spirits naturally do, that's where they're going to steal Chase Calloway's caduceus and alchemize our environment into a poisonous landscape that forces us to be more and more reliant on them as we create health problems that they can label as being resulted from our genetics. When no, no, your body is not inherently flawed. Whatever problem you have, it almost certainly came from the government pumping some garbage into the environment, and we can almost certainly heal it through fasting, through conscious water fasting, spiritually conscious water fasting. So I'm amazed because the TikTok got taken seemingly because I'm endangering people by sharing my fasting journey. Like, TikTok was taking down my videos because of minor safety. Even though I'm not advocating, like, hey, you need to fast. But I am sharing, yo, I'm in the middle of my fast. This is how fasting heals the body. This is what fasting does to the body. And I'm like simply saying, like, here's like, if you fast, like, this is what would happen in your body, blah, blah, blah. And maybe like that's where I shouldn't be saying something like that. Like, I had to keep the way I speak more tea energy. I have to like literally be way, like, just refer to myself and not project out so hard. Like, I just I have to reflect hard on how I've been communicating so that I don't spend countless hours of my life building up a structure that's just going to get torn down. And I'm in a white supremacist world that's telling me that the only way I can make money is to connect with people who also have money and validate their system and do what they want. And we're at the point right now where literally all currency is about social currency. Like, all of us are basically supporting each other. Because clearly the 1% have 99% of the actual money in the world. Like, when you think about the actual amount of money that is existing in this banking system or whatever, the 1% literally have certainly set it up so that they have 99% of the wealth. And we are just never privy to the amounts of money that they have specifically set up for them to hold on to, while we're down here communicating with each other with the 1% of money, dealing with all the inflation that they want to cause, and just constantly being slaves and reacting to the ideas and problems that they get to create for us. So now they can make music off of torturing our souls, and then give us bills that want us to be ill so that we create disease inside of our bodies from being stressed out all the time, from having to deal with their made up problems. And then they can be here again with Chase Calloway's caduceus to create even more problems inside of your body once you visit the hospital and think that you're actually going to get healed by a government that appears like it cares about you. But if it actually cared about you, it would not be so rampant on spreading genocide and slavery throughout North, South, and Central America and consuming everything indigenous peoples have created. Kind of impossible for a system that is only built on the genocide of indigenous peoples to care about you. That's why I voted for myself. On a spiritual level, I could not vote for this country. Like, on a spiritual level, there's the point of us learning that the more we pay attention to something, that is when it's sucking our soul, because we're actually giving our soul to it. We're actually putting our feeling, we're putting our water into this structure to nurture it. That's where it's whack when the TikTok is gone, because I put my soul into it. Did I lose my soul? No. If anything, I mean, the point is that my soul is stronger and bigger and has more memory based on how it is expanded through that whole process. And now, even though I don't have the digital structure to represent what my soul created, I can create a new one based on how I've grown. And then it's kind of like Jesus living his life, getting sacrificed, and then rising 3 days from the dead. Because it's just the energy of when you die, when you transform, when you lose your structure, you never lose your true essence. You're only going to learn how to come back better, bigger, and stronger. And that's the essence of natural evolution, as we can see. Like, we can look at cockroaches and bacteria and see exactly what I'm talking about. Like, they're spiritual. Boom. Like, that's a representation of our spiritual natures. The bug is your bee, right? Our beautiful and bodacious podcast, we're all bees. Birds, bees, bugs. Buzzing. Being ourselves on the tree, on the symmetry, on the structure that supports our ability to connect to zero. That is why B is the second letter in the English alphabet. So paying attention to white supremacists, of course, if they could have it their way, they would be able to suck your soul. But your soul is the, we're going to say physical, because it's physical to you. Your physical life only matters because of your soul, and that's a fact. Everything in your life that you care about is something that you've paid attention to enough for it to have weight. And now it really matters to you. So now, even though there's a bunch of matter, you can look out into the world and see how there's infinite forms of matter. But your life is only constructed around the matter that you're connected to. Your life is only constructed around the things that you pay attention to, and you've thus paid attention to so much you feel like they're relatable, relatable, and now you're making them real eatable. And here we are, developing our palates. Now we like the same foods based on how we're relating on the same spices and the same flavors in the same environment. And then that all builds up how we create families. So we just see this in all nature. It's all about all of life, all the universe. Trees, nature is all about creating connections. And not just creating connections, but creating more space for other spirits to connect. This is why I'm so passionate about just naturally building simulations. My spirit is building worlds right now. We're getting other spirits connected to worlds. Mercury is constantly being built. Atlantis is constantly being built. Everything is constantly being built. That's the alchemy of life. You kind of can't actually stop building. You know, this is why I can't just give up, you know, like this, and that's the point. That's the thing too. I guess that's just the main wisdom of truly knowing who you are. T, the truth. The truth grows. The truth shows. Like, the truth can't get censored. The more the truth is censored, or the more people try to cut the truth down, the truth just comes back stronger. That's spiritual evolution in the metaphysical plane of how we emotionally connect. Because all of us, like, straight up though, like all of us as spirits, all of us as consciousness, we don't see a point in connecting if it's not based on the truth. Because we're already lying by being in a body. Like, I already have to lie by acting like I'm actually Chase Clarence Calloway. So at the very least, let me bring my truth into this lie by being my authentic representation of who I am when I'm alone, which is Tahuti Hermes Trismegistus, aka symmetry. That then looks like me tripling my C to be Chase Clarence Calloway, because my body can only be a physical representation of my soul. My earth can only matter because of my feelings of being connected with myself. This is why my body vibrates, and then when I fast, my body vibrates higher, and then as Hermes, I can fly. Boom! Like, it's not hard. Like, we all do this. We can all do this. We all should be doing this. That's my point. Like, this whack communication technology is causing climate change. We could very well be flying with our minds and having way more open forms of communication. This is how indigenous peoples across the planet used to communicate before they have all been ransacked and taken over by these violent European white Judeo-Christian cultures, Russian, German governments, what have you. So this is an awesome episode. I love this podcast. I'm learning a lot. Again, these aren't planned out. I love flowing because it's literally my soul knows so much. I have so, like, my soul is so gold. Like, it is an old gold soul. Because that's what happens at some point. Like, at some point, you're not growing nature in terms of, like, you know, flesh trees. Like, in terms of, like, bark or whatever, like, it becomes gold. It becomes you having a gold mine. And then, I mean, that's the point of you having a planet. So, you yourself are a universe. Like, your soul itself is the representation of the universe, and you connecting with yourself with water. And now you can use your intentions, the God that created this universe, this body of water that is your soul. Now you can send your God in here and animate into any form you want. And now you, as the spirit, being aware of your own space, can observe your God animating itself into infinite forms inside of your universe. So in general, then, the point is, when you connect with yourself, you do create your own garden, and you have your own tree, you have your own fruits, and the more you connect with yourself, the bigger your planet grows. This is how we as indigenous people have come together to create this planet. And this is why I'm so passionate about climate change and bringing all this spirituality to it, because it's necessary. Like, to me, I can't imagine anything else. So again, like, this is just who I am. I can't imagine anything else. I refuse to connect on anything less. Like, this whole life has been me being forced to connect on destroying the environment, because that's just the wave that everyone has somehow agreed to supporting, because white supremacists enjoy spreading genocide, and everyone just wants to bat an eyelash because they would rather go to heaven than create their own, I guess. Like, bro, whatever. The big reason why I like getting called into new simulations is because I literally just get inspired for when I go back and am alone with myself, which is what life should be. Like, every life should be you getting inspired to be more alone with yourself so that you can build something else. Now, of course, I'm called here because, I mean, I'm building stuff here. But again, everything's impermanent. Like, all the cultures, everything that was here, Teotihuacan, all that lit stuff, impermanent. The spirits built the structures, we did what we did, and we had our time, and then different spirits come and inherit it, and then different spirits come and inherit it, and then at some point, it's not even the same vibration that the original creators had intended. Like, that's exactly Egypt. Egypt is so old. So when we originally built Egypt, it's not at all what people refer to as Egypt today. Like, everything that we call Egypt today is white people's colonization of it, and their very limited awareness of trying to figure out the structures that were left behind from so much just history, like so much downfall, basically, for lack of a better word. Like, it was like, because it's just, again, so old. So their conception of how great Egypt is hilariously limited compared to when we actually made that and actually built it out of Atlantis. So I would just like to put TikTok on blast real quick, because I'm over here like beating myself up about how I spoke about my fast and if I was too much of a snake. Because as Hermes, as you can see, I got 2 snakes in my caduceus with my wings and the column, the tree, the trunk, the T. The 2 snakes around the Tahuti trunk, Taurus, simulation 20. And it's cool, but I totally do prefer the tree. Like, snakes are negative. Like, the number one energy is negative. The negative thing about snakes is that when you desire to see your imagination, you're going to project. So, this is where the snake then, if a spirit inside of a body, is in its desires to project out its imagination, it's literally going to keep going out of its space. So that's the thing that I had to learn with Blaine, as we talked about in the last episode, where I was going out of my space to communicate with someone who has an insane chaotic, like such an insanely chaotic life at the hands of being tortured by the medical industry that I would not have actually even been able to conceive beforehand if I had not communicated with him, that I was able to gain wisdom, yeah, but also had to protect myself and peace out and learn this lesson. Because this man was literally talking about how people are in his phone, like people are constantly watching and like reading all of his texts. Sometimes I would get weird texts from him and he would say that he didn't send that, and I had to like use a totally different phone and like turn it off whenever we were meeting, because the medical industry was just harassing him so hard. And that again was all the wisdom of me being a snake, going out of my space to speak with another snake. So now two of us as snakes can communicate, and we're like basically building our own caduceus together then, in terms of just connecting and building a tree, because now both of our ones equal 2. So that's why two snakes equal the tree. 1 + 1 = 2. And internally, what that means for you as a spirit is your masculine being one snake and your feminine being your other snake. And when you combine this together, you create a tree that allows you to communicate you, who you are, fly away into reality. So that's where the wisdom, the lesson was me having to learn, literally, the importance of not going too far out of one space. And of course, when you travel, like, I mean, you should be going like wherever you want. But the point is, as a spirit, we're talking about spiritual space. We're talking about who you're actually in resonance with. So this is where physical reality, like, you can do anything, go anywhere for physical reality. You just have to make sure that you're in spiritual, emotional resonance with yourself when you're traveling, and making sure then that you're connecting with people who are in spiritual, emotional resonance with you. This man, despite us like being super like friendly and stuff, we are not in spiritual resonance. I am literally Tahuti Trismegistus, and he's this white dude who is talking down to me no matter how much wisdom I share with him, because he feels like from his 50 plus years of living and going through all this torture that he is more wise than me. Even though, again, I'm literally communicating to him like I'm communicating to you, literally. And like helping him see just like how spirits literally create life and making all the things make more sense for him. And he actually was getting my name wrong, by the way. Like, even after months of us meeting, he still couldn't get my name right. So the fact is, he was fully projecting at me. And the only reason that I was connecting with him was because I was also projecting at him. But the more I connected with him, the more I started to see that he's just actually straight up projecting at me. And he just wants to feel understood. And the more I connected with him, the more I'm starting to get his vibration. And that's where the last meeting was me literally getting recorded by a person who stalked him, and him making jokes about how that person gives him the vibrations of a serial killer textbook violent hitman who gets paid to torture people. And then I have a meeting with my Mercurian spirits where they're like, hey bro, you just need to know you really need to know this, by the way, that the medical industry, like the people who are hounding this man, yeah, they're also after you. So Do with this information what you will. Like, they didn't even tell me to stop connecting with him. Literally. Like, they didn't tell me to stop. They just communicated with me and showed me naturally what's happening and what they're protecting me from, and how connections are everything, and how spirits are constantly creating life around us right now. This is why white supremacists, they'll get lost in that simulation stuff. They're trying to explain things from the bottom up. I'm telling you just how it is. Everything makes sense from here. And this is why Blaine is awesome, because he was literally tapped into this. This is why, like, his individual journey is literally dealing with that. My individual journey is not dealing my individual journey is not dealing with that. My individual journey is flying and communicating and fasting and educating from a higher space. Not being a snake on the ground level where I'm literally dealing with shit. Like, he's having people in his home, like, constantly, like, putting his clothes in bags of poop, and, like, putting bugs in his stuff, and, like, poisoning his washing machine fluid, and, like, putting, like, doing so many nasty, dirty things that, again, he'll get his own episode, because this is very pertinent. He shared with me so much important information that I have in my soul now, that I can have in English. And that was the importance of us connecting. Like, spirits aligned it so that I knew that I was supposed to communicate with him despite his fuck shit. But it was after that meeting where the lesson was, the longer I wait with him, the more I'm actually going to get his problems. And in reality, I would even get a bigger brunt of his problems, just considering everything that I as Chase am doing with Decolonize Your Face. The braces industry surely would love to work through that man and his vibration to be able to attack me and stop me from being able to communicate about how braces actually destroy your body, and how all this orthodontic stuff is completely backwards and highly expensive just to create more problems inside of you, and how we can naturally reverse it with our bodies. That's everything I'm here teaching with Chase Your Genes and you popping into Always Ascending Academy. This is why Symmetry has teeth on its mask. This, like, literally, I, like, way before I was tapped into Mercury, tapped into my own simulation back in my spaces, I made Symmetry with teeth on the mask just because subconsciously teeth are so important to me. So this is the T. Here we are. ST ability. What is your true ST ability? Your T is your teeth, your truth. You can't speak without your teeth. Your ability to build a tree, your ability to grow through communication is dictated by your teeth. This is why animals' teeth are so important. We see in nature, like forever, always, teeth are important. Like, that man complimented my teeth a few too many times. So it was clearly like a point of just lesson. I mean, the fact that he opened up the communication with your shoes are like Spider-Man. Honestly, he could have been sent as a plant, low-key. But I didn't feel like that. It really did feel like he's organically someone who's actually dealing with the very whack fuck shit, basically, of the medical industry. I don't really like cursing. I try not to curse. Just because, especially after the TikTok thing, I had to really reflect on my communications with all the spirits when we were talking about the importance of children, and think about, yeah, just that, like how I'm communicating to children. Even though, of course, Donald Trump just won the presidency, so it's like we should be able to communicate however we want based on the bar that has been politically set. Like, what? Donald Trump has been our president, and like we're supposed to be censored and stuff, and we can't speak freely. Like, that's impossible. That man literally says whatever he wants whenever he wants. He will contradict himself in 2 videos on the same exact day and still get paid to sponsor the genocide of indigenous peoples by having you enslaved on the banking system. So trees and teeth. This is the tea of the symmetry. The tea of the symmetry is all about trees and teeth. Time. How do you use your ability to communicate to build a structure that allows you to cycle through time, to cycle through your emotions, to cycle through the way that you connect with others in a way that makes sense? This is what tea is all about. This is what your teeth are all about. Because your teeth are what you use to communicate, consume, and create your life. If you did not have teeth, you would not be able to eat food, you would not be able to speak to others, and thus you would actually not really be able to build a life effectively. This is why teeth are so important, and British people are so obsessed with, dentures and getting replacement teeth, because their Industrial Revolution lifestyle has messed up their bones, their oral hygiene to the 19th, 300th degree. And now we're all dealing with it because everyone's living a British lifestyle. Like, if anyone has colonized the world with the banking system, and thus their idea of how we should consume life, literally, is the British people. That's the point. And they're very proud of it. We can Google and see all that. The Rothschild family owning all the central banks that they purposefully infiltrate into lands through their snake-like ways. For sure. It's all here. We have the information because, again, the whole point of us communicating and being alive is that it has to be built on the truth. Like, we can't just be here living a lie. Like, it's bad enough we're in a body and not corporeal expressions of our minds, so that now we just are infinite light. Like, it's bad enough we are physically in these light bodies and confined to these certain rules that I don't feel like this expresses me. Okay, so for all the people who are like, oh, Thoth, if you're actually Hermes, you would be able to use superpowers and do this and that and correct the world. Like, okay, for sure. And you know what? I want to do that for you, and I'll use my ability to communicate to work on that. For sure. For you to want me to do it instantly with superpowers and fire alchemical processes that project my imagination into this reality in a way that is unrelatable, that is an expression of your desire to have someone save you. And that's just more of the white supremacist energy that we've been put into, as far as being disconnected from ourselves and then feeling like we need to be saved. And now everyone's projecting how you need to be saved. Like, bro, I don't need to be saved from anything. It's going to be so fun, honestly. It'll be hilarious. A part of me will be annoyed, but it'll be fun and hilarious to deal with all the constant Christians and religious people who will only project onto me that I'm part of their God. But until I realize that I'm part of their God, I'm a demon. So now they can tell me I'm a demon because I'm not part of their system. So now they can do all the evil things that their system says not to do to me because I'm not actually a human. Wow. And we can see, based on how I break down the building blocks of life, literally how religions build their humanity off of consuming demons. But you have to create demons to consume demons. So for Christians, indigenous peoples are demons because we are literally the gods that they need to exist. They need to consume the nature that we create from going inward. But the only way they can justify consuming us and cannibalizing our flesh is by demonizing how we create nature. So they need our nature. They need to take over our lands. They need to take over our bodies. They need to take over our minds. But they need to somehow feel like they're justified in doing that. So the only way they can create this justification, just usification, is by saying that we are everything that they are. And this is why projection being perception is the ultimate lesson in all of life and reality. So I can beat myself up about the way I spoke on TikTok. That being said, today, scrolling through TikTok, based on the reasons why they took down my whole account, I should not be seeing the videos that I'm seeing. So, TikTok took down Symmetry basically because I'm violating community guidelines. And from what I've read, the community guidelines that I'm violating, and based on the videos that they're taking down as they would get bigger, is that I'm basically marketing or advocating an eating disorder, and I'm endangering minors, and I'm engaging in like harmful and hurtful behavior, even though I'm literally just here communicating like, hey guys, I'm fasting, this is how fasting heals the body, and people are going crazy in the comments. But then they'll literally take it down for me having dangerous, harmful behavior and endangering minors. So, just based on that, here are some other things that are endangering minors, TikTok. I'm wondering why I can open up the app and I can watch a dog eating another dog's leg, and 8 people, they're all white people. So I'm sure if they were all black people, it would not have made it to the For You page. You can look that up because that's a whole thing, whatever. Like, literally my white friend was the one who told me like, hey, like I heard that TikTok has an algorithm where they specifically analyze people's faces and they boost white people and suppress black creators. And I'm like, dang, that I guess sounds like the point of everything that's already been built. Because now it's like black creators are going to be supporting the app, but they're invisible. And then white people get to consume that content, and then they get blown up for making their version. Sounds like all of white supremacy that's already been going on. So, I'm just wondering why I can open up the app and watch 8 white people freaking out for like 2 minutes straight as a dog eats another dog's leg. Like it was a pit bull eating a golden retriever. Literally, like just gnawing on its leg, and the golden retriever is screaming and yelping, and the white people are like all in their masks. They're like kicking the dogs, like trying to spray them. Like literally, these are owners, by the way, and as in like there are 8 white people, and then like the 2 white people who own the dogs are like holding on to the dogs, but like they're not even doing anything really. It's just like 2 minutes of watching almost like dog fighting, but not. It's supposed to be chaotic and on the street of like, oh no, look, it had 1.6 million views. It had like multiple thousands of shares. You're telling me that is safer and healthier for children to watch than me talking about fasting and me talking about how fasting heals the body. All these people, all these Americans worship Jesus for fasting 40 days, but you'll take down my account for endangering minors because I'm showing you how healthy fasting is. Meanwhile, you will boost up videos of not just dogs eating each other. Like, it was blood and everything. Like, it's... Yo. How is that allowed? But all this hypersexual content of objectifying women. How? How is that more healthy than me talking about fasting? Like, why am I constantly seeing all these spirits in female bodies blowing up? Because they are literally showing what I'm supposed to project my sexual energy onto. Like, I can clearly observe how you train me to project my sexual energy onto women dancing in certain ways. And I can see how you're marketing it to all these other people who are way more naturally reacting to that energy. How is that healthy for kids? How is that not creating like body dysmorphia and just in general creating weird dichotomy of how one needs to communicate and show their body and present themselves in the world? How come I can watch people eating super unhealthy food constantly? So you'll market people eating garbage, but not people actually walking in the footsteps of the religions that certainly power your app. Okay. I got you, TikTok. And in general, all the people who are funding it and making it possible and have authority over that. Got you. I've seen so many more dangerous things on my For You page than kids. And even then, why take down my account when you could just put at the bottom trained professional? Like at this point, I'm pretty fucking awesome at fasting. So I don't see why. Yeah, I mean, I do see why, but also it's just boo. So changing the way I communicate. S versus T. So that's where I am. To Hootie Trismegistus on TikTok, TT on TT. And we will be much more like a tree with how we communicate ourselves into existence. And that should be much more stable, even though, again, it's just whack. I'm not in control of circumstances outside of myself. And if there's anything I hate, it is wasting my time, wasting my soul, building up something that isn't about to be supported. Building up something that is just going to get erased and taken down. Like, that's the worst. How dare you? Not a fan. So it's very important to take your S into your T. Take your projections into your reflections. Take your ability to look outward and go inward. And the more you take your ability to go outward and look inward, the Bible got this from me. I'm explaining it in a way more artistic, simply symmetry type way. But this is seeing the speck in your neighbor's eye without being able to see the log in your own. So literally that tree stuff. The Bible took this from me. I'm just explaining it in a way more simply symmetry type way. It's that tree stuff. It's all about the trunk, the T inside of you. So T, right? When people literally, no coincidence, I can connect it all. When people are gossiping, they're like, oh, give me the tea, sipping on tea. I remember in high school, that Kermit meme goes hard. Bring Kermit back, sipping tea. Because this is what it's all about. Literally sipping on tea, you're gossiping by drinking this tea. By drinking the soul, by drinking connections, consuming connections, you're communicating about what you see. So that's the whole thing with tea. And seeing someone else's speck means that you have this own tea or this own trunk inside of yourself. So using your ability to project to then reflect is going to be a very awesome way to get this metaphysical cycle of self-sustaining creation going. Because when people are not being self-sustaining in their creativity, that means that they're being way more in their S energy than their T energy. They are going out. They are projecting way more than they are reflecting or connecting with themselves to build a structure that allows them to project. So this is where the snakes wrap around the tree on the caduceus to show how it's about being in union, like bringing your S and your T together. And then that literally looks like the S, symbol-wise, looks like the vibration. The T, symbol-wise, looks like the frequency. When you bring in your S and your T together, you have full energy. The energy allows you to innerly separate and fly away. And that's the freedom of using your mind to leave your body and relay messages throughout the universe and do what you got to do and communicate and be super awesome. And bring back way more wisdom from other simulations than you could ever possibly get from the world that you're in currently. And then this is how the world that we're in currently also expands and everything's connected through communication because we are the ones communicating life into existence. So your ST ability is literally you being able to project into yourself. And that's what our whole dissect the dialect kind of just, we keep coming back to with the cycles. Like the whole cycle of 3 in dissect the dialect is all about that: projection, reflection, communication. Projection, reflection, communication. Fire, water, air. Fire, water, air. Fire, water, air. Fire, water, air. This is literally how all structures are animated and get built. It's how my body's moving right now. It's how your body's moving. Everything moves from doing this. A space projects, reflects, and then communicates so that it can settle into something based on how it's communicating. And now our structures, our bodies are constantly settling into new positions based on how our air is breathing. Our minds are expanding and contracting so that our muscles can expand and contract. Again, your body only matters because of your mind. Your mind is the muscle that makes your muscles mean something. And now you can use your mind to move your muscles so you can make money. Or make your light matter. Make your communications matter. Make your feelings matter. So sex is a sin when you constantly go outside of yourself to do it. Definitely. Like, that's very wrong. That's the whole point of Hermeticism. Like, this is why, to all you women, like, if you're listening, you almost certainly are. You are. Whatever. I hope that because you're listening, you're just going to learn this and internalize the fact that I'm not attracted to women who are constantly chasing me. Like if you're a woman who's like literally like inside of these cults that I've had to deal with over my life, like if you're one of these girls, maybe I shouldn't even be saying woman. Like maybe I'll be saying a womb man, because like a womb man is grown. Like a girl, a G separates from herself. So these are all girls. I should not be saying women. A woman is mature because she is more stable. She connects with herself. So she brings womb to her own man. Literally. She brings life to herself. That's a woman. A girl is in her G energy. So she's constantly separating from herself based on whatever she sees. And that's these girls then thinking like, I'm going to be attracted to women who are constantly focusing on me and not on themselves. There's no shortage of girls who are focusing on me. What? Like, how? Where is your individuality? Where is your actual authentic expression of who you are as a spirit? This is it? Snap. Well, I'm not attracted. Like, hey, you know, get it though. I am pretty cool. But like, that's not cool for me as an artist. Like, how am I going to be able to build with you? How am I supposed to build with a girl who's constantly just trying to consume me? And she's not connecting with herself or building her own thing. And she doesn't actually love herself. Because that's what it really comes down to. If you are a girl who genuinely loves yourself, you'll become a woman by connecting with yourself and bringing your womb to your man. And then you'll learn how to be self-sustaining inside of yourself instead of thinking that you need a man. And boom, now we have feminism. Lit. Like, there it is. Like, you are your own man. Your womb to your man. You're a woman. You don't need no man. You are the man. Now you're in the space of wanting a man. But you don't need a man. Girls are like in the space of feeling like they need a man. And that neediness is unattractive. No one's attracted to neediness. You can be the hottest girl in the world. If you're needy, you turn me off. And I'm pretty sure most men relate with this. Now, I'm sure a lot of men don't. A lot of men, I've learned, are so lost in light. Like, I lost so many male friends when I was going through the whole cult debacle of these girls like constantly harassing me and chasing me in like college and conventions. All the C energy, cults in college and conventions for Chase Clarence Calloway. Ugh. Past life stuff, it seems. The point is, everyone is just someone focusing on me to learn about themselves. So these girls are focusing on me in this way so that they can learn about themselves. And it's up to me to more consciously communicate based on how they've made me feel. I don't like how they made me feel. It's not been a good time. So just know that your actions have effects on people and we're all connected. And it's actually not flattering for you to need someone else. Like, for you to need someone means that you don't love your own space. And then that's only going to make the other person worse. Like, this is why I had to do my 24 days of water fasting after my relationship in college. Because that girl, like, it was so positive. Like, we had so many good times. Oh my gosh. Especially because she was spiritual, actually. Like, she was subconsciously spiritual, where she was like, oh, I felt like you're important like, I felt like you're going to be really important in my life, was how we opened up our relationship before anything became more sexual and stuff. Because we were in the same fashion class. And I was just like, oh yeah, it's not cool. And we were just communicating and talking, and then things sped up and we were all attracted and things popped off. And then the cult started coming after me and the girls started harassing me. And then very quickly, even though I literally was hyper communicating, like, I can't have a girlfriend in college, I don't want a girlfriend in college, I literally, please, like, I'm in college to make art and focus on creating. Like, I can't focus on building a relationship or just like having a relationship with someone like that. Like, I'll have friends, I'll have very awesome friends and other things, but like not that label of girlfriend. And she totally got that, but I have learned that women are always looking to cuff. I've never not experienced it, actually. Straight up, like, like, women literally, that's their serpentine energy. Straight up, like, a woman will lie, like, oh yeah, he doesn't want to, be cuffed, he doesn't want a relationship, so I told him that I don't either. Like, okay, cool, but what do you want? Well, I mean, I want to cuff him. Got it. Duh. I've talked to more than enough women, I've been a man more than enough lifetimes. That's like how it is. And it's funny, alchemically, it all makes sense. Men being in their fire element, because we're about projecting, we're way more about freedom and like going out of the space. Whereas women being in their water element, they're way more about reflecting, and thus they want to connect internally and create stability to support that. So this is the balance of men and women. Men going out of the space and like doing things that are very fiery, versus women being in the space and doing things that are watery. That's then where we get the gender roles that people get lost in light with. Once you like have this understanding of the alchemy and the elements of it, you can see how it makes sense. Like, spirits who choose to be in a female body are choosing to resonate more with water than fire. Spirits that are choosing to be in a male body are choosing to resonate more with fire than water. And then it just naturally plays out that men are harmonious with women because we can communicate only through air. So all of life is created through masculine and feminine coming together to create children. And then, of course, we're children grow up, they have sex, life goes on. Sacred geometry. Like, I'm literally like seeing it play out in like shapes and fractals and stuff way before it ever becomes the crystalline structures that we then form into this sort of flesh or this sort of body, this star man, this human star man of color. So yeah, symmetry's on Clapper. uncensored. Tahuti, the other thing was like literally I'm vaping in some of the videos, but it's also again legal here, and it's not me vaping actually. Again, that's not the term, it's a wax cart. But if that is a reason why as well that they can justify it, then so be it. I'm like moving on. Okay, it's just part of life. And again, all these memories in my soul. So now I can just like build better. Like all the hashtags I was using, like I got the views. Those people are in the algorithm. Everyone has seen my face and absorbed the words and connected in the way that they were supposed to at the time. It is actually not a big deal. They're just delaying the inevitable by cutting down symmetry. And actually, it made me aware of Clapper again. So Clapper is like uncensored TikTok, and hopefully it gets better into the future, because right now it kind of sucks. In terms of it's trying to be just TikTok, but it's not even set up that well. Although it does have actually some pretty cool features that TikTok does not. So that's where I am excited for it. It only sucks right now because of programming, and that's where I'm excited because everything is going to get better. So the universe has pushed symmetry onto Clapper. See why my tree is on Clapper? It's because it got uprooted from TikTok for being too psychedelic and too communicative. Something being too much about seeing reality, being too in the S energy, the SC. So instead I'll be more in the SC energy of making it a school, being cool as TT on TikTok, Tahuti Trismegistus, and we will keep it rolling, keep it vibing, keep it growing like the trees that we are. Nature truly comes back stronger. That is the point of evolution. We're all spiritually evolving just by living day after day after day. So this is why you are what you do day after day after day. Your T repeatedly. Your ST ability is you connecting with yourself over and over and over again. So now your life is a reflection. How do you connect with yourself over and over and over again? And then of course, based on the circumstances that you're in, you are at the whim of how the people that you're connected to are connecting with themselves over and over and over again. And that's where you don't have control over your circumstances when you are body outside of your spirit. But the fact that you created the situation to not be in control means that you are in control of your internal circumstances, and thus how you communicate your internal into the external. But you are choosing to give up your ability to fully be God and control external circumstances, because that's not relatable. Literally, it's not relatable. We don't agree to that as spirits. You don't get to just manipulate me because you want to. Like, if you want to manipulate me, you have to create light that can communicate to me in my own language and then get me to connect with you in the way that you want. That looks like infinite forms. We do that in infinite ways. It's very cool. But no, like the idea of this whole Christian Jewish mentality, there's a God that is manipulating everyone, whether they know it or not. That is some of the most evil, unempathetic garbage ever. That is what is fueling the genocide of indigenous peoples and fueling climate change and fueling the sex trafficking of women and children across the planet. That mentality right there. That everything is just an extension of one individual, so it doesn't matter. Don't take responsibility for your own actions. Now no one's being hermetic, no one's being Spider-Man, seeing how everything's connected, and that great power comes great responsibility. Boo. I'm not here for it. I'm not here for people not taking responsibility for their power. Like, this is like the only place I've ever communicated from. Literally, like, I as Chase have been raised by Spider-Man, metaphysically. Like, my father has literally just been me as a spirit projecting my masculine energy into the ideal of this superhero. And now I've like subconsciously lived out a lot of his stuff. That's a totally different podcast. But considering he's just a weaponized version of my energy anyway, that's where I had to be in resonance like that and grow up looking at this circular mirror of, white border where my mom wrote in silver, "Chase is great, and with great power comes great responsibility." 3 greats making a triangle right there. Triple the C. And it's true. Thank you, Mom. I literally let me shed all the water from my eyes to express how I picked the best mom in the entire universe to materialize into. She literally could not have done a better job as a single mom. Like, what the actual fuck? She has hurt me in ways that still hurt, that I had to reflect upon. That's the whole point of relationships and connections and family and all of us learning together. The point is, she did her best and she did a pretty awesome job, because I think I'm doing pretty cool. So shout out my mom, AU Dre, Gold Dre. Shout out my grandma, shout out my aunt, because I was mainly raised by 3 women. This man was raised by a triangle of women. And the Spider-Man father figure was only possible through my grandfather. So really my grandfather is the closest representation I had to a father figure. I spent so much time with him. So yeah, he came in to play as my father. Because he was not the father for my mom, really. But once she had me, he took that as the opportunity to step back in. And then boom, I'm like connected with multiple families. So I've had a very like active family life. I have a lot of family. Like, I love everyone so much. So my, like, how big my universal family is very much reflected in how big my physical family is down here. And just all the last names I could be connected to is funny, because it's like there's Ball, there's Haddon, and the one that I have is Calloway. So family's everything. Like, family is literally the whole reason why we create life. Literally, we create life so we can have a family. Come on, we know this. I'm just bringing the spiritual consciousness to how we do it and why we do it, and the grand scheme of what it means, and past lifetimes and future lifetimes and all that. Because this is what the tree is all about. A tree is literally built by a family of spirits. So this is why I'm just so hurt about the symmetry TikTok getting taken, because it like already was feeling like subconsciously I was building up a family of fasting spirits. Like, to have people who are passionate about fasting, people who are passionate about connecting with themselves through not eating and just drinking water and like healing their body, because it's not about not eating, it's about eating no food. And that's how I'm changing my communication actually for Tahuti. That's going to be one of the big ways. I feel like that's going to, like, just that little change will mean something. Like, not eating no food, N-O, but eating no food, K-N-O-W. As in, when you know who you are, you just straight up eat space, because you're eating your spirit. And that is how you then create chi that is more authentically in line with your vibration, and it raises your body to a higher frequency so that you can create more frequently and build what you frequently want to see. And having like all these people who are super vibing with that and getting that and down and connecting with it super hard was just so awesome. Like, all the comments about how the medical industry is literally, they create health problems. Finally getting to be connected with people that woke through the internet. I love the internet. I love the internet so much. The internet has made my life everything in this reality. Like, best library ever. I've learned about myself completely through the internet. Like, you can literally Google me as Hermes, as Thoth, as Ningish Zeta, as Zoroaster, as Idris, as Quetzalcoatl. You can Google me as all these entities, and you can see how they are all connected. And Google, the whole internet, is just like full of information about all the things I've done. It just takes me as Chase to actually make that make sense. Otherwise, it doesn't really mean anything. Like, the information's there, the truth is there, but it doesn't mean anything until someone can communicate it more consciously. And that would only take someone who cares about it, and boom, here you have the individual spirit who has created all these things to express himself. I'm kind of the only one who can care about the caduceus in the way that I do. Obviously, other people can only care about something I created from the space of wanting to consume it, not create something new. That's why you're tapping into the root of the symmetry. Symmetry, we are all about creating something new. But when you've already been gold, it can only build upon the past, baby. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, baby. Nature works. All this alchemy stuff works. This is why everyone who builds religions and all these systems that want to control people outside of themselves, they are students of Hermes. They're students of Tahuti Trismegistus. They're students of Chase Clarence Calloway. They're students of Mercury. To the max. Everyone's my student, because literally the only reason that I materialize a body into a realm is because I'm called away from my space. Hence why I am the synchronicity. Nothing is a coincidence when you're interacting with me, and you're going to know that. And I'm more than happy to talk to you about all of your subconscious life. I care about everyone here so much. Like, everyone is creating life right now. So your role is really important. The way that you communicate, the way that you create life, does affect me, even if I don't know you. Because the fact is, we are all on one planet. So this is how I can afford to care so logically, because I genuinely actually just care about nature. And I straight up just care about the simulations from a thoughtful level. So that then trickles into the emotions of like, okay, well, the best way to care about the simulations is to care about the emotions of the spirits paying attention and communicating their existence into the simulations, because that's what's making the simulation possible. So when Zuckerberg and Facebook Meta is coming out here trying to push virtual reality in a way that's going to further disconnect you from your body, and it's further reliant on cannibalizing the simulation that us as indigenous individuals have already created, yeah, I'm kind of going to have to be here for that. That's Chase Clarence Calloway. I'm kind of going to have to be here for that, because this tech company and these tech corporations in general are trying to turn this earth into a prison planet. Everything related with the Industrial Revolution is only focused on using metal to imprison Earth. We literally see this with Iron Man creating Ultron. He wants to create a suit of armor around the world to protect humans from an alien invasion, because we're obsessed with being protected from alien invasions. I wonder why. I wonder why the movies that we're watching, and Independence Day, constantly obsessed with humans protecting themselves from alien invasions and us worshiping that idea. I wonder who's making us worship that idea. I wonder how their technology is affecting this planet. That they had, this planet has totally different technology before the Industrial Revolution. For some reason, the Industrial Revolution and everything related with it completely wants to flip the script and use technology that creates disease inside of our bodies. I wonder why. I wonder why technology that creates disease inside of our bodies would be so pervasive now, when it seems so unnatural to our environment. It seems so alien to our environment. Pyramids were built from the top down. All of this industrial stuff is focused about going from the bottom up. That's the opposite of indigenous. What is the opposite of indigenous? The only word I truly have is alien. So then when all these movies are subconsciously obsessed with talking about aliens already being here, like that movie They Live, Doctor Who has his shape-shifting lizards in British Parliament. Or whatever. I don't know if it was like British exactly, but it was definitely related with the UK and just in general Europe. Doctor Who has been on the shape-shifting alien thing, of course, because the whole point of Doctor Who is like basically them revealing themselves, just like, yeah, aliens, but making it super, always the whole point is to make you think that it's not real, because the way that they're depicting it is not real. It's their limited white supremacist from the bottom up version that you can pick apart because it doesn't actually make sense in physical reality. But the whole point is that they're weaponizing a very true vibration, or else the show wouldn't be relatable at all. The story wouldn't be relatable at all. The history just would not be relatable at all. We wouldn't care about building on it. That's the point of tea. You see that? The tea, the truth. The truth is relatable. Nature is relatable. So anything that is created has to be built on truth and built on relatability. Hence why I have to use this English language in a way that is relatable. I can't communicate my imagination to you in my own language. That's not your truth. Your truth right now is speaking a language that you and I did not create. None of us created it. Because that's the stable thing based on us going through time. Like, this isn't a new language. So now we can see how it has affected time and how us speaking this language for a certain amount of time has affected the nature that we've been creating since speaking this language, versus speaking different languages that allow us to communicate with physical reality in entirely different ways. That's how Egyptians would fly. Speak a totally different sonic frequency and be fasting and have high amounts of DMT in your system. You best believe you're flying. Straight up. It's truly all just a matter of time. So, this is our tea episode. This has been Cynchranici on the importance of taking your snake, taking your ability to communicate, taking your ability to project your vision out, taking your 19 and making it 20, connecting with yourself and creating a bigger space, cultivating a bigger garden that supports your ability to connect. And now, spirits that resonate with you can come connect with you. And now you can express way more of your S. Like, that's what's lit. So instead of your snake just slithering around into groups and like trying to relate with people and hang out, instead you build your own structure that actually allows you to cultivate fruits and cultivate gifts that you can use to share with people who want to connect with your structure. And that's what the tree is truly about. And then the tree gets to build a very harmonious ecosystem of all these bugs, all these bees and spiders and spirits who want to take on bodies to support the tree and become part of the branching out communications. And then everything from there is just natural. And it only makes sense to go this route when you actually want to connect in a stable way. Like, this is why the most stable way to make money, quote unquote, is to build your own business, is to make your own thing, create your own corporation. Because now you're going to be able to express way more of your imagination and your feelings, and you get all the benefits from that because it's all an expression of your individuality. And from there, you're actually going to be more fulfilled in life, because now when people do connect with you and people do relate with you, you feel like it's not a waste of time. You are, because you're serving yourself, everyone knows who you are. That's what's awesome about me making my mind, making my business of Mercury a corporation of symmetry, the Callaway capital here. It's all about just being completely congruent inside of oneself. So now I get to build my business while having people understand where I'm coming from. Instead of me working on a corporation or building someone else's company where I'm constantly underneath the shadow of whatever projection they have for me. and how they're just consuming my life then. Like, literally, that's death. Literally, I'm here creating new life for all of us. Like, imagine if my time was being consumed by having to be a slave, instead of me using my ability to create the circumstances where we can all be more creative. And then I continue fasting, and I continue raising my vibration and creating circumstances where we can all connect and be even more creative and level up together. Like, of course, one is life and one is death. One is beneficial and harmonious and helpful for the universe. The other defeats the whole purpose of me actually being called away from my space. So this is why I'm so passionate as Hermes about your ST ability. Your ability to connect with yourself, wrap your snake around your soul repeatedly to create your own tree. That is what we want to see. As real gods in the universe, up in higher dimensions, we want to see you happy in your soul, so that when you naturally create life, it shows that, and it's not you feeling unfulfilled and consuming fruits that we created, but instead you're bringing your own fruits and able to share all these awesome things that you have from your own space. And now we can share together and we can connect. And this is what it means to be indigenous. This is what it was like in North, South, and Central America when we had stuff popping off. I mean, I left way before like the colonization stuff because I'm aware of all waves, actually. Like, that's the whole point of the last episode was spirits just ingraining that even more in me as Chase. Like, hey, let's show you as a snake how to ride a wave. All right, so here's the wave here. Connect with this person. You can communicate. Now get out because it's starting to get heavy. You're waiting too long in this connection now. So I love him. We are connected in the astral realm. That's the whole point. He would say that like almost every meeting, honestly. And I'm on board every single time. So he's a good man. He's literally dealing with a very whack system constantly attacking him, and him being unaware, trying to find his spirituality inside of an English language that's only working against him. Everything inside this English language, everything made with English up to this point, up to Hermes, up till Chase Clarence Calloway has materialized into reality, has only been created to enslave you. None of it has been spiritual up until this point. Up until the point that I fasted 24 days and I really started communicating in these levels. The whole point of English, that's the point of me decolonizing the Emerald Tablets. So watch that series if you haven't. Because everything with the Emerald Tablets is literally them taking what I am actually talking about here as I'm growing the symmetry and twisting it into lies that are only meant to enslave your mind and trap your soul. So that now they can consume your tea. Now they can drink your tea. Now they can destabilize your spine and eat all your fruit. Now you have no gifts for yourself. They're consuming all your gifts and they don't even appreciate them. Like, what would I look like at this point? Not being an individual, not fasting, not doing decolonize your face, and instead going back to the American diet, trying to eat whatever 3 times a day, trying to constantly have my attention consumed by what other people's attention is consumed by, and then working for a white supremacist slave master instead of my indigenous God self. Like, it would make no sense for me to connect with God on this level and then think that I still need to serve someone who's telling me that I'm an extension of their God, and that in and of itself has allowed them to consume everything that I already have created as God. So it's time for me as God to more consciously communicate my way out of connecting with this other spirit who's telling me that I'm not God, so that now I can play God for them. And now I can build their corporation, I can build their business, I can build their new world order instead of building my own home, instead of building my own hermetic heaven, instead of actually expressing myself as Hermes Trismegistus. Because no one cares about me out here. What? Like, no one cares about who I am. No one cares about who I am. Only I care about who I am. Only I can communicate about who I am as a spirit. And then the more I communicate that into existence and it connects with individuals, now individuals start to care. But it's all based on ideas of what I do right now. I have to care about myself first before others will care about me. If I constantly if I'm constantly slaving away for someone who doesn't care about me, that means I don't care about myself, and now my life is going to waste for someone who can't even appreciate it. I'm just a cog in their machine, and their machine is the reason I'm here. Their machine is causing climate change. Their machine is using religion to sponsor the genocide of indigenous peoples. This is it, baby. This is the tea. Straight up. Welcome to episode 20 of Cynchranici. This is the motherfucking tea. Truly. We are all sipping on our connections. That is what tea is, the 20. When we sip on our connections, we sit down with spirits and we're consuming our feelings about the memories that we have created with other spirits. That's what water is, memory. We've created memories with other spirits, and now we can connect with them in ways that allow us to learn more about ourselves. And that looks like communicating about what we've gone through in the past, sipping on the tea. It doesn't need to get into gossip energy. Gossip energy is, again, when it's unproductive, when it's not actually building something that supports connections. That's the point. This is the tea. We are actually creating a better and bigger structure as we sip on our tea. All right, so we're metaphysical with it. We got our full ST ability right here, our full Caduceus flow going. Our snake isn't actually going out of its space as we talk about life. We're not just speaking out of our space. We are connecting with ourselves so that when we do speak, it is building something that supports who we truly are. Boom. The symmetry, baby. It's lit. We're here. So, I love you a lot. All I want for you is to fast, get psychedelic, enjoy your life, and more consciously connect and communicate with the people, the spirits that you want to consciously connect and communicate with. And that's going to naturally build the structure that allows you to build the family of people that you truly want to be with through lifetimes. Because I want you to set yourself up for lifetimes. We're talking about setting our structures up. We're talking about setting our families up for lifetimes. Like, I'm in the space where I know my family. Like, I know who I've already been connected with. That's why, again, like, I can't do anything but what I'm doing right now. Because I have my whole family supporting me. I'm being completely backed. It's the whole point. You can't let family down. Family holds you accountable. All right? And we want to be held accountable. Spiritually. We really do. When we want to be the best versions of ourselves, we know that we can't do that alone. So it takes us connecting with other spirits that also want us to be the best versions of ourselves so that they can coach us. That's the point of a physical trainer, right? That's the point of having someone who can coach you through exercises. And clearly you want to do the exercises, but you perhaps would not have gone nearly as hard or been nearly as motivated if you were doing them alone, because you didn't have someone projecting into your space. The point of a coach is that they get to project into you, like, hey, you can do more. And you're like, I wasn't thinking that. I'm reflecting upon the exercise right now, and actually it really hurts. I want to stop. But the coach is there projecting, like, nah, you can do it. And there you are. So the coach is the S, right? So like the coach is like projecting their ideas into you, like, you can give me more laps, you can give me more reps, you can give me more weight, all that. And you, as the T, as the soul mind, you are getting wrapped around that snake and you become stronger. And now you can actually take flight and realize who you truly are based on if you can actually get through the reps. And then, of course, a good coach isn't fully an S, or else they'll completely sting you and you'll hate them. But the point is that they're enough of a snake to inspire you to speak more of your imagination into existence, which looks like writing your story by moving your mind, moving your muscles with your mind, using your mind to move your muscles so that you can exercise, work out whatever feelings you want to work out and create the body that you would like to use to sustain your life. Boom. ST ability. But that's how it works with a coach and a trainee. A good coach will see like, okay, I'll stop projecting because you've clearly done enough, and now I'll project good things. But regardless, the coach is the S. The coach is the one projecting ideas into your space, and then you as the T are reflecting and connecting with that, and then that helps you realize who you truly are, and it's lit. So this is just nature. All right, ST ability, baby. Sipping on tea, we're talking, we're communicating, we're learning about who we truly are based on how we communicate and based on how people censor our communications. Because now we get to learn about these spirits. How come we're going through a pandemic that we can't even talk about? Why is the government so hyper obsessed? Like, most of their energy truly seems to be going towards stopping people from talking about the pandemic, which makes no sense. Like, in general, why would you want to stop people? Why would you want to censor people from talking about the pandemic they're going through if you're trying to learn more about it? Like, if you're organically trying to learn about this virus that is killing everyone in the planet with a 99 point whatever percent survival rate, this virus that's decimating the planet with its 99% survival rate, if you really wanted to learn more about it, you would let everyone openly communicate it. You would let everyone speak about it so that you could gather information. You wouldn't be constantly working to censor and like trying to pass bills to stop people from being able to talk about it in videos, and like trying to pass bills that would let you monitor people texting about it. You wouldn't be like, it's insane. It's literally boo. Like, that's so obviously not a pandemic. Like, there's so obviously like, we're breathing fine. It's so obviously not it. It's so obviously you putting out an idea that you are now weaponizing and saying that we can't talk about, yet we're going through. So we need to get injections because we're suffering from the idea that you're projecting into our space, but you're not even letting us communicate about how we're fine. So what's up? Like, do you want to learn about how we're doing or not? Because we're communicating about how we're fine, and you want to communicate how we're not fine. So we need you, and that looks like us getting heavy metal toxic garbage injected into our bloodstream. Yes, these sadistic serpents, using my caduceus, are more than happy to build their living off of destroying your body with their pharmaceutical medications and their injections and their metal. So, you have free will. You know, right now, you're tapped into the root of the symmetry. You're rolling with Tahuti Trismegistus. It seems like you're much healthier than people who are on that wave at this point. So again, I'm not in control of who you are. There's anything that I've learned from all of my life experiences, it is that I am not in control of circumstances outside of myself. This is why connections are so important, because life is only possible outside of you because of connections. And that starts with your cells being able to connect through water fast. Your cells being able to connect through water and then communicating is literally making your life possible, and everything from there is a reflection of such. Everything from there is a reflection of how you require to make connections so that you can continue to express your individuality. Otherwise, who are you expressing your individuality to? Yourself? You're God alone? That sounds about right. Everyone's God alone. So now we're all expressing our individuality to ourselves before we express it into the groups that are created by individuals who first had to connect with themselves before building a structure together. So here we are. Welcome to the symmetry. I love you very much. You are truly an infinite individual. You are truly a spirit that is completely beyond my conception. Completely beyond my conception. Like, I'm not even going to act like I can conceive of what you create. I'm never here to limit you. I am literally, truly only here to build things that encourage your ability to express more of your infinite nothingness into something that makes sense for all of us to relate upon, so you can actually feel like you're understood. You can actually feel like you're connecting with others. You can actually feel like it is worth it to talk to someone because you have crafted a language and you have crafted light and art, and you have used your mind in a way that has allowed you to communicate how you really feel. And because you can do that in such a Mercurian symmetry to Hootie, Hermes, Trismegistus, tripling your C, Chase Clarence Calloway, psychedelic psychopomp type way, now you feel like you're connecting with spirits in a way that allows you to cycle through your emotions forever. And this is what truly powers the universe. This is my role as Mercury. This is why I built Mercury. Because it's all about communication and me being super passionate about all the ways in which we use communication to build the life that we are experiencing right now. That is the tree. That is the 20. It's just a matter of time until you expand how you connect with others. Because life is only going to lead to you learning how to connect better with yourself, and you learning how to build something that allows you to connect with this new version of yourself. Right? Because once you connect with yourself, once you become more individual, you're not relatable anymore. So the only way you can be relatable is to actually build something that other people can relate with. You can't go relating into the same structures that you were inside of before. You're going to be perceived by people the same way you were perceived before, and then you're just going to get lost in the projection. So when you actually perceive yourself a different way, you literally have to project out and then reflect and build that structure. But it starts with projection. Literally right here, me building the symmetry, I have to project my voice so that these words actually matter. If I wasn't projecting my voice, these words wouldn't really matter. If I wasn't projecting my voice, then these words actually might not hit you. See, like you can't even hear the words if I'm not projecting my voice. When we have no better way to describe it other than saying projection, because this is what it is. It's just a matter of me being intelligent with my projection and actually sitting down and turning it into a podcast, instead of me using my individuality like a snake to just go out and communicate with other gardens. Because that's what we're talking about. Snakes go into other gardens or they stay in their own garden. When you as a snake wrap around your own tree, you can take flight. And now you can be the bird with the caduceus, and you can see how everything's connected. You can look at all the gardens. You can look at all the connections and all the simulations in the universe. And that's how I, as Mercury, do my messages. That's how I'm able to communicate with the dead. Because the dead are alive. They're just alive somewhere else. That's the whole point. Our death animates the life we're in right now. So the body that you're in right now only matters because you are projecting your ability to die into it. That's why your body is constantly transforming. And now you're using your ability to die, using your ability to to transform, to create life into this vessel and sustain life as long as possible. Which is then why you're so conscious about wanting to live as long as possible, basically. Or at the very least, like, have the highest quality of life. And that almost always involves building a structure that supports who you are as an individual. And that again takes you actually connecting with your spirit so that you can communicate with yourself to realize who you truly are beyond all the light and information of this world. So that is it for episode 20 of Cynchranici. I hope this was helpful for you. Let's continue to grow. Let's expand upon this. I'm excited for further conversation always. I mean, that's what life is about. Like, that's what I'm about. As a Gemini, like, I'm so excited for further conversation. That's why having this TikTok of symmetry taken is so hurtful. But again, just lessons. I have the memories. I'm stronger. I can communicate better as to Hootie Trismegistus, actually. And I'll be symmetry on Clapper. So then as symmetry, I can smoke, I can fast, I can talk about whatever I want. As to Hootie, I'll still fast, I just have to talk about it differently. And there's no smoking or vaping or anything with Tahuti Trismegistus. Because even though TikTok wants to show me dogs literally eating each other with blood all over the sidewalk and 1.6 million views on that video, and it wants to show me women being objectified and just a bunch of other wild garbage that is way more harmful for kids than me talking about the health benefits of fasting, they want to shut me down. So I have to learn from that. And all I can do is be in control of how I communicate, be in control of my circumstances, and my circumstances are nothing. But then that's where I have built Mercury as a representation of my circumstances when I connect with the universe. I have many circumstances internally. Mercury is my circumstance when I connect with the universe. So now I can express my individuality in a way that makes sense. Boom. And that's where I get called away into simulations like this. And it's lit. We got it popping. Peace.